Hey there, welcome back to AutoNet. So today we're going to talk about the goTo method that is on the MapView and the SceneView inside the ArcGIS API for JavaScript. So let's go ahead and take a look at this method here. And the goTo method pretty much does what it says it's going to do. It's going to go to a location. So it takes two arguments, target and an optional argument called options, obviously. So the target can pretty much be anything. It can be it could be a graphic, it could be XY coordinates, any just regular geometry. You have all these different options here that you can give to it, right? So let's talk about just go ahead and playing around with this and see what you could do with goTo. And then we'll take a bit more look at some of the details about the method. So because I'm lazy and I don't want to go and create a geometry and stuff myself, I'm just going to do this on the click method of the views. So when I do my view click, I get a map point. So let's get the map point out of there. My little function. So now I'm just going to do view dot go to map point. All right. All right. Let's get this refresh. And wow, that is yeah, it's exciting, right? Okay. That's very simple. That is the very most basic use case of using the view goTo method. But let's up this a little bit. So we're going to put the target in here. If I can spell. Did I spell it right? Yeah, I did. Okay, so now we have the target's map point. No changes here. But let's take a look at the API for this and what else can we do. All right, so we can provide a center we want to go to, nothing I want to do. Scale. Let's go and mess with the scale a bit. Always recommend you try to stick with using scale in your applications instead of zoom because it's just more reliable. Um, zoom on one map may be a different zoom on another, but the scales should be universal. There we go. So I went ahead and I was able to zoom in over there. Ooh, look, I never noticed that heavy leaf there. Canadians. So okay, so now we are in zooming around and everything works out pretty nicely, right? So okay, what else can we do? Options. Let's start looking at this optional object for options. So you can already tell in here, if I zoom out here and I start clicking around, it's like an animation between the zooming, right? And this actually is more pronounced if we're in a scene view. So let's change this to scene view. Just update this little sample here because I think the goTo and everything else kind of is more pronounced when you're working inside of a scene view. See? So there we go. So I animated in and everything. And that kind of it's kind of cool. All right, so okay. So that you can actually it just kind of pops a bit more inside of 3D. But let's go ahead and let's look at the options we can pass. So we have duration, all right, and we have animate. Animate's always going to be true. So if I give it a second object, my argument here, and it doesn't like that formatting, so let's go here. And let's just say animate false and see what that looks like. All right, so let this refresh. All right. And there was no animation, just went directly there. So you probably don't want that, although you might have a use case for that. I don't want to say that you probably don't want that. I'm sure um, someone out there has a use case for turning that off to quickly show locations. But interesting one you can play with here is duration, right? So let's play around with duration. So the duration is how long is my animation going to take? So let's set the duration here for 500 milliseconds. I don't know what the default is. Does it tell me the default? I don't know what default is, but let's go ahead and make it 500 milliseconds. That's pretty quick. Let's make that 5 seconds. All right. Let's see what happens now. And there we go. That took 5 seconds to get to my location. And if it's a little closer, like this case here, then it's going to be horribly slow to move from one location to the other. So keep that in mind when you're working with your animations, that you may not always be going from a long distance to a, or you may not always be traveling a long distance using the goTo. Maybe going short distances, so you don't want to have a necessarily have that 5 second duration on your animation. All right, so what else can we do? Easing, look at this. We have some out of the box easing functions that we can use. All right, so the default is ease. We also have linear. So let's go ahead and use that. So let's go ahead and set that up. So this is going to be the way that the methods used to do this animation, right? So we have an easing, pretty simple, straightforward. We have ease in, ease out. All right, so let's do ease in. This one's kind of cool. And we also have ease out. Let's try that one. Bam, look at that. Now that's kind of cool, right? So you have all these different options when using the easing functions. I click over here. I think I just froze my sample. All right, so give me a second here. Let me refresh this. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my browser working again. Just kind of broke. But okay, let's mess around a bit more with easing. So it takes a string, but also takes a function. So if we come in here and we do something like, oops, just return back t. So t is time. So if you have a function here, it's just going to return the time. So that's all we got. All right, so it's pretty simple. But you can do your own functions in here. So if we check out this little gist someone put together of just some very simple things that you can do for easing functions in here. We've got something like this. This one's kind of neat. Ease out quart, right? So let's come in here, let's just copy that, dump that in here, and let's try that one. See what this little easing function looks like. Whoa, that was kind of quick there, right? All right. I haven't used easing functions in a long time. This is the kind of thing that I would normally have done in Flash way back in the day. But again, I don't really need to use them too much. I forget how much most of these do. So okay, so we've got this crazy easing function in here. What was this one called? I didn't even look. Ease in out quart. All right, that's going to be interesting. Let's check it out. Bam. All right, so that was fun. So again, you can see there's a lot of stuff you can do with the goTo method on the map and the scene views. You can use easing functions. You can use a custom easing function. Set your scale so it'll zoom in. I've seen people ask if they use goTo, but it doesn't necessarily zoom in to anywhere. You can do that. And target can be just about anything, any geometry, viewpoint, have it in the camera, whatever you might have that you can use inside here. So have some fun, add a little bit interactivity stuff to your maps. Thanks.